Man, thanks so much for making time. We'll go ahead and get to it, man, because I know there's some people joining in. And those of you that are in the live, please continue to like and share the live out for us. We want to get as many people as we can in here to hear from Will and to learn a little bit more about him and Third Eye Fragrance Company, because I'm really excited about this one. I've just been impressed already, and we're going to talk through some things. So please continue to like and share things out and let us know where you're watching from down in the chat. We'll try to get to some questions. So feel free to put your questions down there. We'll try to get to some. I'm probably going to go through some of the questions I have at first. So if you don't see us answering your questions, I will ask those of our friends in the chat to try to answer those questions for us, and then we'll try to get to a few of them there at the end as time allows. Does that work for you, Will?
Oh yeah, we got Blake in the live too. Let's
We
go.
do have Blake in the live. He just finished up an awesome live, and he was so supportive. And TJB was in there, and he was talking about this and encouraged people to come over. And so Blake was awesome, being able to. He pinned it to the top of his live. So man, you got a lot of support. You got a lot of support.
I do, man. It's awesome, man. Like, I mean, community got me into this whole thing, and just like discovering, like other communities has been kind of the highlight of doing it, honestly. Like, a lot of brands are faceless. Like, who's the face of Latafa? Nobody, right? So I don't like that doing this, right? I like, everybody in the TikTok community, Blake community, your community, Pops, Covenant Sense community, right? Like, it's just good. All the Facebook groups, like you meet some really amazing people.
Yeah, for
Everybody's
sure. Yeah, well, and everybody, and you keep putting out some good stuff too, so that's great. Thanks for the heartbeats, guys. I appreciate it. So, I guess for those that are tuning in, maybe for the first time that don't know much about Will and don't know much about Third Eye, thanks so much for the Panther paws there, Erica. We appreciate you. So, what would you tell people just about who you are? A little bit about you as a person. I think I like to start there just to kind of figure out as people kind of get used to a brand. I mean, what do they need to know about Will?
I don't know what they need to know, but I'm in my early 40s, and oh look, we got stingray jellyfish. Early 40s. I'm actually an engineer or ex Navy guy for a while, and I've been an engineer at in an industrial products company for about 15 years. And I've had a lot of hobbies. I've come from a musical family. My uncle is actually a drummer for the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Wow.
And I've done a lot of things. And then, I ended up actually getting divorced about 4 or 5 years ago. And I needed a hobby for when I had my kids and they went to bed. And I had kind of gotten tired of TV and video games. And I had, when you get divorced, you start working out and like getting new clothing and stuff. And I was like, man, I got to upgrade my fragrance collection because I still had my like Hugo Man, my Tommy, my CK1, you know what I mean? From like,
Yeah.
and so I went into, it rhymes with Stacy's, and I bought a 200 mil Sauvage EDT.
That's what started this train wreck?
It
Sauvage
did.
EDT, huh?
It did. Yeah. And I went through the whole cycle that everyone, what up, Aaron? Everyone goes through, right? With you start with designer and you collect way too many, and then you get into niche, and then you have your ATH phase, and then you know what I mean? And then you kind of taper off. But along the way, I was like, I wonder if I could do this. And I just started watching some YouTube. I bought, I got a table. I bought a few ingredients. I bought my scale, that little guy, scale, that guy.
Is that your calibrator, the Pepsi there that you calibrate with? Is that what that?
Yeah, it's good to eat and drink near chemicals. That's a good idea. You should definitely do that with your fingers too. Safety is a priority here at Third Eye Fragrance Company. But no, and I started making some awful stuff. Because I didn't know what I was doing. But, I had a lot of good mentors along the way. Roma Steele Salazar, Michael Salazar helped me out a lot. Paul Kyler. The list goes on of people that, Niles from City Rhythm that smelled my stuff and gave me feedback. You slowly learn. And then I was in these Facebook groups, and then I, people started saying, hey, this stuff's pretty good. You should think about kind of selling this. And it was red rum. It took me about 3.5 years to develop red rum, 3 years. And he's back. And that's it. And then last year I was like, you know what, maybe I will. And so I formed my LLC and I made a batch of red rum, and I had some other concepts working, and here we are.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I love to hear the background story. I appreciate you getting a little personal there too, just kind of telling it because we all have stories, man. And it's funny how at different phases of life we go through different things, and how it kind of shapes us from where we are. And taking on a new challenge, midway through life, that's a lot of fun too. So I love that. So you mentioned the Navy a little bit. If you're willing to tell us a little bit about it, that was the one thing on your bio that when I saw, I was like, man, that's pretty cool. Like, how does a guy who is in the Navy become a perfumer? Can you talk a little bit about that? As much as you're willing to share about your life in the Navy and kind of what you did.
Yeah, well, I'm not really a military guy, but I was in high school and I was raised by my great grandparents, so I didn't have any money and I wanted to go to college. And the Navy at the time had this like loophole where you could basically sign up and they pay you to go to school and then you go in. Um, so I did that. I went to UF. I was going to actually be an English major probably or something. Um, but the program that I had to go into was the nuclear engineering program. And they're like, yeah, you're not going to be an English major. Pick something else. So I picked physics. So I got a physics degree, and then I had to do my obligatory Navy stint. I, was a nuclear engineering officer in the Navy. And then, that kind of like, you just kind of take opportunities as they come, like I wasn't going to make that a career. I did that 5 years out of college. And then I was dating a girl in Virginia where I was last stationed and stayed there. And that didn't work out, but my job did. I found a really nice career in this in the industrial engineering space. Did that for a long time, and then, like I said, moved down to Florida where my family was from. I went to UF, and you know, the rest is the rest of the story.
Are we
Just
still chomping? Like, are we a UF? Like, is that what are we all about that life? Or are we what do we think
yeah,
of
I'm
college
a pretty big
sports?
UF fan. Yeah, although Gator football is not something to be proud of in the past, since Tim Tebow.
Hey, man, I don't know what's going on with mine. I mean, you know where I'm at. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and pull this out just because I always do for everybody. But I mean, I don't know how long I want to be able to brag. It's not going to be very long. So, the fact that we're national football champions, I mean, I don't know if I'll ever be able to say that again in my life. So,
Which
gotta brag
coach
when I
has
can.
the most swagger of any coach ever?
He
The
does. We actually had a really good chat last night about this. So, you think about this, you can answer later. If you were Coach Signetti, what scent would you wear?
man.
What does
Oh,
Coach Signetti wear?
it's got to be like an over the top, confident, masculine blonde amber.
You think? You think that's sweet?
It's got no, well, yeah, but it's kind of like yeah, maybe,
Alright.
yeah,
Alright. I
or
don't
like
know. Part of me's thinking
or
like
something.
brackish man. It's thinking like
No,
polysniferous, like something that's like, really, really, old school fougere is,
but
is
not
what I'm
fruity.
thinking.
Definitely not fruity. There's no fruit in it.
No,
Yeah,
for sure not. Oh,
no.
I love it. I love it. Well, anyway, thanks for going down the sports rabbit hole with me. But okay, so let's now talk about Third Eye Fragrance Company. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is the name, right? Like I'm curious about the name. Why did we pick Third Eye? What does it mean? And kind of what the story is behind Third Eye Fragrance. So can you tell me about what how you got there?
Yeah. So I'm a big Tool fan. I'm a big music fan,
Oh, yeah.
and I kind of thought it was a cool name. It's an ongoing thing for me because I checked the trademarks that were out there when I launched my business, and it was fine. And then right now, I actually just filed this last week to get it all shored up, and I think I'll be okay. But I don't know. So it didn't start out that heavy. It just started out as I needed a name for the brand. I was like, Third Eye Fragrance Co. That sounds all right. Let's go with that. You know, I didn't when I started this thing. I really didn't think it was going to take off like it has. I thought I was going to sell a couple bottles to friends here and there, and then that would sort of be it. Um, but that's not how it's going. Um, and so
Where it
but then I
started and where we are.
yeah, and then I went to Niles City Rhythm Party in Miami, his fourth anniversary event, and Alan from Beverly Hills Perfumery. I had a nice chat with him. He's a big like spiritual third eye person. And he was asking me like, what does it mean to me and all this stuff, and like I had some answers, but I didn't really have a cohesive story. You know, and he goes, I mean, in this business, it's not the fragrances. Like it is. but it's also not. Like you buy the story, you buy the brand, you collect them, you buy, it's all the presentation, it's all the stuff that goes with it. So he's like you really need to crystallize and think about like what you're about and move in that direction. And so I ended up going back and I wrote my about page, and the whole third eye thing is just about, I like mindfulness, just being aware of the world and life and what goes on and your place in it and senses and everything like that. And, fragrance is kind of, I think, an extension of somebody's individuality, right? And expression. And it says something about you before you even say something about yourself, a lot like clothes and how much you bench press, you walk around like Noah looking like a specimen all the time. People are like, that guy's got his shit together. So anyway, I don't know why I got on Noah's biceps when I'm talking about.
I mean, hey, there's never a bad time to talk about Noah's biceps. I don't think. I don't know. If you let me know in the chat if you disagree. But
Yeah.
but I did.
Need a Donna robe. But yeah, so it's that. It's just the brand is about community. It's about people. It's about respecting individuality, creativity, and expression, and mindfulness. That's really it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. And I love that. I love that. I mean, I think that says a lot about who you are and kind of where the brand came. I love the fact that you said you said that you never thought it was really going to go anywhere. I think that's amazing. It's so many creators that I hear and so many people in this niche perfume space that I think have a very similar startup, right? They're like, oh, this isn't going to go anywhere. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh crap, I'm out of juice and I need to batch this up quick time.
Yeah. Well, I'm toxically competitive and I don't like failure. So after I started this thing, I'm like, man, like my scents have been relatively, actually really well received. I try to craft things that are somewhat familiar, mass appealing, wearable fragrances, but also have a uniqueness to them, either done in a unique way or notes that you don't expect or something. So, I don't personally love super challenging fragrances. Like you'd never watch me wear or smell me wearing Kuros or something. Like that's just not me. And I guess, people have liked those. I just released Iris in December. That's probably the most niche thing I'll ever do. And there's a story behind that fragrance too, but
We're going to get to that. Don't you worry.
So yeah, that's kind of that's where I was at with the brand. It's very people driven too. I'm in a lot of really good communities and a lot of creators, and that's a huge part of this is just like, letting people try the fragrances and give me feedback on them. And hey, I would really like to have this out there and stuff like that.
So we're definitely going to get to the fragrances. So hold on that because we're going to get to there in just a second because I want to go through the lineup and kind of talk to you about that. But one of the things that you had mentioned that I thought was interesting was this fact that you have a relationship a little bit with City Rhythm, and it's so funny that you say that. Relationship as in know the guys. When I smelled Red Rum and Flamingo for the first time, there was something about them that kind of gave me a City Rhythm feel. I don't know exactly. I haven't smelled a ton of City Rhythm, but I've had a few of them, and I don't know. There's something about the scents that that reminded me a little bit of that kind of style. So it's funny that you say that they've kind of given you a little bit of advice here and there because I wonder if I'm smelling that come through a little bit. Maybe not. I don't know. It's all subjective, but it's interesting.
I think with City Rhythm and Niles. By the way, Niles is an incredible human being. Like whatever you think about City Rhythm fragrances, they're great fragrances. Love them. It doesn't matter. Niles is an awesome person. Like he gave me a lot of I would not have been able to do this as fast as I have without people. Him is a big one. Michael Salazar, another one. Noah's helped me some, and then Chris from Static Olfactive. He's been probably key. Those people have helped me do this whole thing. But Niles is going back like when I launched my brand late August of last year, and Niles' 4th anniversary party was last fall. And he's like, hey, come down to Miami, come to this party, bring some samples. Like it's his party. Like he put all this on, but he had me come in and meet all these influencers. And, I met Gene from Gene Smell Good there and gave him a red rum. And then that led to him having his customers smell it. It was the first retail spot that I went into. And, just stuff like that. He really selflessly helped me. But going back to the fragrances and the influence, yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, Juvedan does most of his stuff, although Nas has done some. I think the similarity though is our philosophy is kind of the same. To have unique things, but have things that people can wear. Modern DNAs that are digestible, understandable. So that might be where some of the similarity comes from. But I think Austin, I believe, in red rum share a lot of similarness, even though they don't smell the same, but the same kind of idea.
Yeah,
So
makes a lot of sense. I'm laughing at all the bicep talk we have in the chat right now. It's I didn't know of everything we were talking about that was going to take off as much as I guess I should have known
the
the
thing
crew we
is you
have in
can't
here.
see them because they're underneath the robe, but the robe will outline. It just suggests them. It's suggesting.
It's a part of his brand. He should really he needs a bottle with a robe that goes on it. Like that's what he needs next. Like a robe that goes onto the bottle. I think there could be something there. We better keep our ideas ourselves. I don't want to take we need to get paid for those good ideas. So the next thing and I think I know the answer, but I want everybody here to know. So not formally trained in any sense, pretty much self-taught in perfumery, right? Or a little bit of a mix of both. Like how did your journey as far as I know you have an engineering background, you have the industrial kind of, but like, how did you get trained up to actually decide, hey, I'm going to try this and I'm going to buy the equipment and I'm going to buy the oils and I'm going to have a lab right here behind you that you're going to start experimenting with?
Yeah, so it's funny. Um, that whole thing. Right? Perfumery is one of those things where, like, yes, like you can go to Gross and you can go like Givaudan, and it has their own academies and stuff like that. But you got to like really, I mean, you got to pick that path and go down that path hard, right? Like if you're just trying to, you know, not do all that, there's, the Institute of Art and Olfaction has some classes I've been interested in. I've never taken them, but I really did. I got on YouTube and I just got, some materials, and the stuff that I started mixing was again horrible because a lot of perfumery is understanding like relative strengths and how things get used. It's not just what the thing smells like. Like when you make a fragrance, yes, it's a smell, but it's also a texture. So it's like, what does it smell like? But how does it smell? Does it have lift? Is it too heavy? Is it too flat? Why does it not have good longevity? Those things are really hard to understand. And the first couple of years that I was doing this, everything I made was flat. It had no projection. It had no longevity. And so what actually helped me was I just started studying, not materials, but work from other people. So, I studied pretty much every popular fragrance that's on the market. I've studied and made it and changed it over and over and over and over again to understand the impact of things. For example, Louis Vuitton, Jacques Cavalier loves Scentolide, right? Well, Scentolide loves it. He uses it like Afternoon Swim uses, I think, 8% Scentolide, which is astronomically expensive. So what I would do I'd make Afternoon Swim, and then I would take Scentolide and I would put it at 1%. I would just take it out, put it at 1%, put it at 4%, put it at 12%. What is it actually doing to the fragrance, right? Because a lot of like the musks and a lot of the other things, you can't really smell them that well, but you feel them in the scent and you know if they're not there. So, what Scentolide does to me is it adds more volume and it adds a little bit of fruitiness and depth to a fragrance. So I'm working on a tropical summer scent right now, and it was a little thin in the base, and I put 2% Scentolide in it, and it's on the right track. So it's stuff like that. And actually, fun fact is, the red rum, when I was playing with it, all the ingredients that I was using in red rum, a lot of them get used in a lot of places, if that makes sense. And what you start noticing again, and this is probably why I've heard a lot of engineers are good at perfumery, is understanding like, hey, look, I'm like right now I'm making a honeyed tobacco orange blossom scent. So I've studied tobacco oud. I've studied, the Tom Ford one. I've studied tobacco vanille. I've studied tobacco honey. My own red rum, and sort of what I'm like learning how to do is take accords and patterns and percentages and put them together to make something that smells good. So
Well, it's
once,
funny.
yeah,
Oh,
once I,
sorry. I'm saying it's funny you say that because Lizzie Beth is in the chat. I knew it. She was going to comment. Oh, that sounds amazing. She loves orange blossom. She loves tobacco. So do
so
I.
this is for Lizzie. So my photographer, Emily, X-ray inspired, X-ray expired. Don't tell her I said that. X-ray inspired. Told me I forget where we were that the market really needs a really rich, nice orange blossom honey scent, and I 100% agree. So that is on my list to do. And stay tuned, Lizzie. I'm actually really far along on it. It's really good.
That's really good news. I mean, that's exciting for her. It's exciting for a lot of us, but that's really good. I want to thank everybody in the chat that's putting in, that's commenting, and that's liking the live. Thank you for all the gifts. You guys are really kind. I really appreciate that. We both do. Thank you for supporting it. Keep liking the live. We've got about 13,000, I think, likes. Let's get that thing up there. Keep doing that for me. That really helps. And then keep sharing the live out too. Want to get more people in here especially as we start breaking down these fragrances here in just a second. So, really excited about that. So one of the things that I'm still learning a little bit more about is in the process is these things like captives and about these accords. And can you walk us through, kind of give us the layman's kind of explanation on kind of what accords are, what captives are, kind of how that comes into perfumery and how that allows you to do some different things? Because I think you're even kind of, I think, experimenting with some new things, I think, in that realm that might be in some future fragrances. But correct me if I've got anything wrong there, but
No,
talk
yeah.
about that.
No, I mean, if everybody likes to nerd out on perfumery, let's do it. So what was the first thing? Oh, captives. Simply put, captives are like, so I have an ingredient, right? Like pick an ingredient. This is Robertet's raspberry. Actually, you know what? Aaron's in here. This is Firmeniche's Pretty Oud base, right? I also have Dreamwood. I have a couple of Firmenich things. That's an ingredient. I can buy that. I can use that. That's available to the general. Captives are basically fancy ingredients that companies will come up with and via patented process, and they patent it, and only their house, their perfumers have access to that ingredient. So, pick a perfumer, whatever house they work from, Akigala wood is a really well-known one, right? There are a bunch of them that are out there. And then after a while, either the patent runs out or the company just decides to release it, or,
And,
some
and when you and when you say the company, you're talking about like the four big oil houses. You're talking about like Cody, LMVH, like those groups like that.
like Givaudan, Simrise, Firmenich, Mon, the ingredient makers.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Aaron's in here, by the way. If anybody ever has a question about like ingredients, Aaron's the guy. He's a smart fellow. He
That's
works at
awesome.
Niche. But yeah, so that's captives. So obviously I don't really have access to captives. So you have to you can't work with them. So you generally though, to like a perfumer like me, like I wouldn't even know what I'm missing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I might not have a tool, but if I don't really know the tool exists, then it doesn't really matter. But anyway, so those are captives. So you have a fragrance, right? Everybody kind of knows what musks are. Musks are functional things, right? They give a fragrance structure. You use them typically in larger doses. And they're functional. They give texture. They give things like that. An accord is a bunch of a relatively low number of ingredients that come together to make a smell. So let's say like plum. I want to use like 6 ingredients together to create plum, to create white honey, to create tobacco, right? Whatever. That's an accord. It's a relatively smaller number. Let's call it 10 ingredients. And that can exist as a top note, a mid note, a base note, or some combination. A base is a very complex accord. So a base typically will have a top, mid, and base notes to it, and also will make a smell or something like that. So, if you have, for example, a chocolate base, there'll be some top notes in it, some middle notes, and some base notes, and a whole thing. So those are really the terms. Captives are ingredients. Ingredients are ingredients. There's musks, there's accords, and then there's bases. And companies too will put out pre-made bases for you to use. So, like for example, this pretty oud right here that I talked about. This is Firmenish's oud base. So there's a bunch of materials in here, but I buy it as one ingredient and can use it.
That makes sense. No, that's very helpful. Sorry for all of you that aren't into nerdy science stuff like I am. I thought that was very interesting. I kind of wanted that's some of the stuff I'm trying to learn. As I kind of really get into this a little bit more, and I talk to different people like you, just kind of understanding really the business besides the chemistry that goes into it because it matters so much, right? I mean, that's how it goes. So back to the brand a little bit. So if you talk about Third Eye Fragrance Co. and you want to kind of describe it, the DNA of your fragrances in one or two sentences, which I know is like absolutely horrible and hard to do. So as many sentences as you want. But like, how would you describe the DNA? Like, is there a through line that you feel throughout your fragrances?
Um, well, actually, actually, if you want to know the truth, I am collecting fragrances like infinity stones, and I have note and profiles that I want in my range. And I don't really want much more than that. So when to give you an example, so when I started, red rum was my goal because I was only going to make one fragrance ever. And I wanted all my favorite notes in one place. So I wanted black cherry, I wanted plum, I wanted some tobacco, I wanted a real rich vanilla. I liked immortelle, um, and I liked ambroxan, amber, all that stuff. So I was like, can I put all these things together somehow and make like my ultimate fragrance? Um, that's what red rum turned into. Now, if you want me to be 100% honest, red rum is my bestseller. It's the OG. It's been really, really well received. Like everyone really likes red rum. If I would go back, I might do it a little differently. I'm better now than when I made that scent, but I'm still very happy with it. But that was red rum, right? It was my plum cherry scent, things like that.
It's time for red rum intense.
Yeah, it's funny you used to do that. So, and then with Flamingo, that was completely different. Like I wanted an homage to Florida. And so I wanted a fragrance that did not wear heavy. So like most citrus scents and tropical scents out there to me are very like heavy, especially when it's like 90-degree weather, right? You don't want to wear like Hachivat when it's real hot out. So I wanted something that it smelled good, it had good longevity, but it smelled and felt light on your skin, if that makes sense. And so actually Flamingo even still was the most work of any fragrance I've ever done. Citrus fragrances, like resinous fragrances like red rum, they're more forgiving to dosing, right? You can dose up, dose down a little bit. They're heavy. Citrus fragrances, because they're so light and transparent, 1/10 of one drop of a material will change the entire texture or scent of that stuff. So red rum actually Flamingo taught me about microdosing. So that one, but that's what that turned out to be. And I wanted to do something that had a little bit of tropical nature to it, a lot of neroli, green, and that's what that was. And then Iris was actually I like Iris leather fragrances, and I like tobacco vanilla fragrances, and I also like vanilla and saffron. And so I was like, I wonder if I could do all that together. So, the interesting thing about Iris is, and Scent Nick, if you guys don't know him, did a really awesome review of Iris today. Again, that's my most niche type thing. Very strong scent, but the crazy thing about that is how much it changes. And in the heart, it is an Iris leather fragrance and not a traditional Iris. I don't like powdery like Dior Homme Parfum is a very nice fragrance, but it's lipstick Iris. I wanted to do like Oris and Violet. So that was that. That was that scent. And I actually finished Iris long before I finished Flamingo. But when I sent Flamingo out, so many people really, really liked it. I wanted kind of a mass appealing thing first. So I released Flamingo first and Iris second. And then, Moon Lotus is not out yet, but I actually think it's funny that you resonated the least with it. I actually think Moon Lotus is my best work so far.
Well, it's funny. Well, let me talk about that for a second. So it's funny you say that. I do think it's some of your best work because I think it's and like my and you mentioned it. I think it's for me. It's I think it leans a little more feminine, right? Which is completely fine. And that's but I think the ladies are gonna freaking love it. And I think some of the guys. I mean, some of the guys can work on it too. But I will say that I love the blending in that. Like I think that's the thing that I think I noticed the most with that fragrance is how well blended it is.
I got a lot better. So Moon Lotus actually, it's funny like how some of these fragrances come together. So I love Ylang and I love white florals. Kind and my what I started with was I need a Virgin Island water. Well, that doesn't smell anything like Virgin Island water. That's where I started because I was like, I really like that. Like it's a unisex kind of thing. And so I went down that path and I used the maximum amount of Ylang that you can use, two different kinds of Ylang, two different kinds of jasmine, and then started making that scent and a little bit of neroli too. And then I discovered, just happened to discover Blue Lotus. And I had worked on that scent for like 6 months or 8 months or whatever. And it was good, but it wasn't there. And I found this Blue Lotus base at Bertrand Duchamp, I think his name is. He's a master perfumer. He made for a supplier. He made a Blue Lotus base, and I got it, and I put it in my framework, and it just fit like a Tetris block. And I was like, "This is it." And then I had it. I took it to Scent Explorer, and I had one ingredient that was one drop of one ingredient in a 10 mil. People said it was a little too ambery. I cut that in half, and it was perfect. And actually, Scent Nick, while I was there, said, yeah, it's Blue Lotus, but you can tell it's an accord. It's not doesn't have real Blue Lotus in it. And I was like, I don't know how you can tell that, by the way, but I was like, but you're right. So I went out and I actually found true Blue Lotus Absolute, which is over $100 a gram, and now it does have real Blue Lotus in it, along with the accord, along with a Lang or whatever. And I was going for a scent that smells like the beach at night. And it smells, it does lean a little femme, but I personally wear it and I just think it's so unique. It's such a unique take on the white florals.
Well, I wear Traps Revs, and so I mean, I'm not opposed to it at all. I think it is something. So it's funny, now that I've had the samples for a few days, it's funny how I think I learned a lesson. I did the review a little too quick on the fragrances on my initial thought because it's starting to change a little bit because like I'm probably gonna and we're gonna go through one at a time, each one of them. But I think I have a new favorite already after going through just a few days later. So we'll talk about that. But let's start. So the first one you said was red rum. So let's talk about red rum and kind of your creations. This was your first baby, right? And so kind of tell us about the inspiration behind this. And then are these notes backwards? I don't know if I'm mirrored or not. Can you read those or
I don't need to read them. I wrote them.
well, you wrote them, but I'm talking about the other people.
No, people can't read them. No.
Okay.
So it's the thing with cherry fragrances is they have a bad reputation because what it do.
What did you
Everybody
do?
thinks they smell medicinal. They smell syrupy. And I didn't want that. So I actually started with plum because plum doesn't, you can do plum, you can use a lot of like, yeah, how far down the rabbit hole do I go? Plum doesn't need to be, no, plum is not syrupy, right? Plum, you can make plum more floral. So I started with a plum note. And then I actually found, Immortelle goes real nice with that. And some honeyed elements. And then I built the cherry on top of it. So the plum and the cherry, like it's interesting because some people smell red rum and they immediately smell the cherry and they say it's a cherry fragrance. But some people are like, yeah, there's a little bit of cherry, but then it really goes into plum. So it's sort of seamless. And then I just kind of built from there. So, there was tobacco that got added to that I wanted to go on there. And then I started working on the vanilla base. I did, I mean, this is my first fragrance, and when you like, the hardest thing to do for me was get musks correct. So, I did, I'll call it, as a very new perfumer, cheat on my first fragrance, and I took the musk accord from Angel Share, and then I layered everything else on top of it. So it's an original scent. I mean, I made
Oh,
all of
definitely.
it. But the reason that people think it smells familiar is because the musk accord, galaxolide, the hedione, scentolide, tonalide, all that stuff, that accord. Because what actually happened was, remember I told you I started studying fragrances, and I had made a scent. I made red rum, but I made it. The percentages were all kind of messed up, right? Like if anybody knows anything about cinnamon bark, cinnamon is a really restricted ingredient. You can't use much cinnamon. You also don't need to use much cinnamon. My first iteration of red rum, I used like 3% cinnamon bark. If you go back and you smell that, it's like those brooms at like the grocery store that you buy. That's what it smells like now. But when I was starting to study all these fragrances, I didn't know I was going to do that. But when I got the one for Angel Share, I was like, this is everything that I've been using, just in different sort of proportions. Not everything, right? There's a lot, but the musks and all that stuff. So I was like, well, let me just arrange it like this. And then it started to click. So that's kind of what I did there. I mean, I started with the plum, the cherry. I had a really nice thing going. And then once I found I could just use the musk structure and kind of build on top of it, the whole scent started to come together. And it was about 6 months later that it was done.
Can you talk about the Divana note in it? Because I don't know if I've smelled a ton of things that have that. I'm just kind of curious to hear you talk through that.
Yeah. So,
I'm pronouncing that right, correct?
yeah, Davana.
Divana.
You know what's funny about fragrances too is, so PDM just came out with that Aragon scent.
Yep.
Have you smelled it?
No. Yeah, sample. Yeah, I saw the sample of it.
Smell that and then smell red rum and tell me that Aragon scent is not a neutered red rum, because it has Davana, it has cinnamon, and it's got patchouli and some other things, but like I was
This
really
one's way better. I can tell you right now because I do not
was
like that.
annoyed when they came out with that and
I
started
do
selling
not like that
like
fragrance.
$9,000. But anyway, Davana
But now
is,
we can say that PDM's duping you, so that's cool.
I don't know about that. That was the last thing that I added, because Davana is a very, very strong plant, herb, I guess, flower. And it smells kind of tropical. But it's very strong. It's got like a berry smell, but it's kind of got like an herbal smell. I believe Bitter Peach by Tom Ford uses it.
Yeah.
There's a couple scents that use it. Carlisle, actually, if you've smelled Carlisle by PDM, uses rose and Davana together. So only a really little bit, and it pops the top. So that was the very last thing I added, was one drop of Davana, and I was like, oh, here it is. Because before that, the scent was a little flat. Like you sprayed it and it was there, but it needed something to pull that out. And so I put that in there. But a lot of people actually, like Fougere, Doc too, was not familiar with Davana.
Well, hell, if I'm in good company with him, if he doesn't know something, then I'm feel like I'm right on track.
Yeah,
I'm right on track.
it's not something that you would just smell on your own, and it is a very unique smelling thing.
So I do have a question. Now that WT's in the chat here, and good evening, Jacob, for being here. Thank you so much. So now that we have WT in the chat, how much did you have to send him to bathe in it? Because I swear that guy loves him some red rum, and I feel like you have to send it to him by like literally the gallon.
You know what? I actually felt bad because he should have gotten samples long before he did, and I still feel bad about that. But
Oh no,
it's that's one part of this business, man, that is no one prepares you for, because one, like, I have not profited a dollar from anything yet. I've reinvested everything. Like, I haven't taken a dollar out of the business. And number two is, I community focused. I really like people. So like I send free samples all the time. I send stuff out. I send free. I try to make things right. You know, if I ever make an error on an order, is the best thing that'll ever happen to you because you probably get a free bottle of something or multiple things because I'm all about customer service. That's a big thing to me.
Make sure you screw up my next order.
Yeah, I mean that's the dream. If you want to order screw up, I won't. Like I sent people Christmas presents. Like in December, like I had to declutter and I had like, a bunch of decants and stuff of like niche stuff. And I was like, man, you bought a bottle of red rum. Here's your free, smoking hot. But anyway, what were we talking about?
Oh no, that's okay. I'm good. We're talking about WT bathing and red rum.
Yeah.
I mean, hard to.
Anyway, so yeah, like, but the other part of it is I get inundated with PR requests
Yeah.
by like everybody. And like, listen, that's part of it. That's fine. And like, but you only make so much juice, and you spend, and it's not just the free bottle, right? It's $10 for shipping and the time and all that stuff. And so, when I first got started, when I was doing red rum, I sent a ton of PR. Like everybody that asked, all the people reached out to people, right? I was brand new. And the thing you learn is that like you can't do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because
it's a business. Yeah.
yeah, not all of it is a good return either. Like I mean, people all mean well. Like the whole thing is like brands and creators go back and forth all the time, right? But like we both need each other. And so I have sent way less Flamingo, Iris, almost no Iris PR, out. But I do send it to people that the other thing is Hez is a really good friend of mine, Hez Parfums. And he told me, he's like, only work with people that are excited about what you're doing. And so like, that's kind of what I'm doing now is like, if somebody, if they have 1 billion followers, but they don't care about you or the fragrance or whatever, like their content's going to suck. So I say all that to come back and say that like WTF did a great video. He should have gotten samples a long time ago, but I'm glad, that he likes them now. So, it's taken me a while to learn like who, you know what I mean? Like who should be in the circle, I guess.
I understand. No, it makes complete sense. And I'm speaking of the circle. Pops is in the chat now with Covenant. He's asking for free PR already in here. So you
should ask him about the 2 bottles that I sent him to give to a store that he still has.
There you go.
Pop sees. I'm just kidding. You can keep that.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, it's a really good community. And I think that's, but you're right about that, actually. That's one of the things that I've even had to learn a little bit is like, okay, we also, it's a good community. We want to support people, but like intentions vary from certain people, and you never really know kind of where people are. So, see, I took them and she didn't keep them. Is what Pop says.
No, man, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, I know.
They all the old labels too. That's it. I mean, I did, but yeah, labels. But yeah, it's that, man. It's just it's finding the right balance, right? Because I was worried with red rum because like it got reviewed so well that people would start thinking that I was like buying reviews, And
sure. And I think that's legit, right? Like you have to think about that, right? I mean, I think because there's brands that get hate because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and especially in the culture that we're in now, where like all these Middle Eastern brands are paying all this money to all these influencers to get it out there, and that's part of it, and it's also the other piece too that I'm having to work with now is like I'm expanding into retail, and it's like where do you go, right? How do you price, right? Like discount codes are a big thing, like who do you give them to? How much do you do? Where do you put your brand? Like it's tough, man. I'm just trying to like Jeff Bezos at Amazon is famous for saying he only wants to know about like there's decisions that are one-way doors and two-way doors. He wants to know about all the one-way doors, right? And I'm trying not to make wrong decisions that are one-way doors, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I think that's pretty awesome. Thanks for all the gifts, guys. Thank you, Vanilla, for making me look like a rabbit. I really appreciate it. That's very, very helpful. Thank you. I'm sure you screenshotted that, and I'm sure that'll appear in a video at a later time. But so what was the next scent? So we started with red rum, and then you had mentioned that you actually did you released Iris, or you created Iris before you released Flamingo? Is that so? What was your second scent that you actually worked on?
Was Iris. Yeah.
It was Iris. Okay, so let's talk about that one next then. By the way, I want to hear the story about this artwork sometime too, because I love this artwork.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Well, you want me to do it now?
yeah,
So
sure.
when I launched this brand, one, I didn't have any money. So I did everything myself. I did my own website, and at the time I just wanted to get it going. Like I needed a website, right? I needed all this stuff. I needed labels. So I used Vistaprint. I made my own label. I ordered some bottles and kind of all that. But I needed some art for the scent, right? And I didn't, So I'm like, all right, took the vibe and I used ChatGPT and I made some AI art. I thought it looked pretty good. I didn't understand that people hate AI with a passion. And like, I get it.
Artists hate it a lot too.
Perfumery, you're right. But they're like, there's many, I would never buy anything from a company that uses AI, blah, blah, blah. Like you could have paid an artist, you cheap MF. And I'm like, I didn't even think about it, right? Like it wasn't even, I didn't willingly do it. I just did it.
Third Eye Fragrances, cheap AF. I like it. It's a great tagline.
But I took that to heart, right? Because I'm like, if people are this passionate about it, and like I like art. I mean, I do art myself. I have paintings in my house that I've done, and I'm like, you know what? Like, let me take some time now that I launched the brand, and let me go figure this out. So my idea was I would find artists and have them do the individual scents, right? And I was going to use a different artist for every one. What I didn't understand was how hard it was going to be to find artists that were good and that wanted to do this and that did digital art, not just paintings and all this kind of stuff. But I happened on an Instagram of a guy named Earl Funk, who is a muralist tattoo artist out of Orlando. And one of his murals was orange flower. And I was like, those are really, like, that style is what I'm after. It was kind of cartoony, but it wasn't, but it was good. And so I reached out to him and, remember to go back to the thing about being, working with people who are excited. He was excited about it. And the first art actually was Flamingo. And he had kind of done I had a menacing looking Flamingo with like a Cubavera hat on and some stuff, like was the original art. And then I was like, let's just do scenery. And he put the logo in it and it was really, really good. I had been talking to another artist about doing red rum and that guy just kept blowing me off. He was like, yeah, I'm just busy and I'm blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, screw that. I was like, Earl, do you want to do another one? He was like, yeah. So he did red rum and like we kind of did the same style. So now if you look, the logo is somewhere in all the art. So that's kind of like a little, Stan Lee Marvel kind of touch. Yeah, the logo is in there somewhere. You don't have, you do have the Moon Lotus one. Cool. Yeah, isn't that pretty?
Yeah, it's great. I love that. I mean, I was telling a couple other perfumers, this needs to be a trend for all fragrances. This right here. I mean, having these cards are so nice to be able to have the notes, to be able to have the names, to be like, this is so underrated. I love that you do this.
Thanks. Yeah, Errol Funk. That's his actual name too. I asked him, I was like, your name Funk? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. He signs it funky. If you look at his signature on
I noticed that. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, I know it's backwards, but yeah, it says funky. Yeah.
And that was another thing too. Like he did the art and he didn't put his signature on it. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, I'm not having anybody tell me this is AI. I was like, put your, and I'm a big into credit too. If you go to my website and you look up any products, Emily, the photographer, is credited on everything. And Earl is credited on all that too. So I'm big into the credit piece.
What I love
buy a bottle. So those are the sample cards that go in the box. But if you buy a bottle, it's a 4x6 full. That's cropped a little bit. It's a 4x6 full print.
Oh, wow.
With the notes on the back and a little bio of Earl and all that kind of stuff on there that comes with the package.
Well, I'm going to be buying a bottle tonight. I told you that I was going to make my decision after this live on what I'm going to get.
too. If
Huh?
you look downstairs, I have 18 by 24 posters of the art in my bedroom. It's pretty cool.
I love it. So do we have a co-creator here in your lap here that I just keep hearing talking?
It's my little naked cat.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it looks like chicken, feels like balls.
I think the live just got flagged. I don't know. Sorry guys. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
That's not my cat. That's my daughter's cat.
That's too. Toby's cracking up, so I think everybody's cracking up now. So I was not expecting that. I will tell you.
They're pretty cool, but I mean, they're like little. They got personalities of dogs. Anyway, it's Mr. Bigglesworth.
So okay, so Iris Obsidian. Let's go back to that. So that's the next one that you created. So Iris Obsidian. It's got elemi, pepper, violet, saffron, orris, incense, bourbon, vanilla, leather, and dry leaf tobacco. I've got all 4 of your scents on my arm. So every time we talk about one, I smell in a different spot. So yeah,
Other than Iris. Yeah, Nick's did a video on Iris too, and by the way, like that's probably what you have is probably macerated about 2 months. You give that about 6 months, it's going to be unreal. And that's true for like red rum. And, I just don't, I would love to macerate 6 to 8 months, like, the bigger ones do. I just sell too much. So like, I don't,
good problem to have.
it's not unmacerated. I mean, it's a minimum of like, 6 to 8 weeks, which is plenty to have the core profile. But if you like, people that have like the first batches of red rum that I started like 6 months ago are like nuclear.
Well, I can't wait for it to continue to do that.
Uh,
Vanilla. Oh, brother.
I get it.
It keeps your vanilla anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Anyway.
makes a lot of sense. So okay, so we went. So Iris is, and so who would you recommend Iris Obsidian for? I mean, it's kind of that, like what type of like I'm smelling it now. It's very classy. It's very. I mean, it's got a great scent profile. Is it more of an elevated fragrance? You think for a guy that to
Yeah.
wear like more of a wearing out kind of scent?
Yeah, I mean that's more of like where you would wear like to me like tobacco vanille or like stuff like that. I mean it's a cold weather fragrance for sure.
For sure.
1 to 4 sprays max. Blake, by the way, was in his live one day. Right after I released that, I sent him a bottle of it. It used to be way smokier, by the way, and I kind
heard
of
that
liked
from
it,
some.
but yeah, no, it was. I got some feedback from Emily actually, and she was like, I'm going to be honest, it smells like barbecue smoke. And I'm like, hmm. So then I sent it to some more ladies. The men generally thought it was okay, but the ladies were like, yeah, it's a little smoky. So I dialed the smoke back 70%. And what's crazy is it opened the whole thing up. So you could smell the leather more. Like it really made the scent sort of what it is. So that was like a last minute addition that kind of really helped. And
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at this
no, I know.
chat, and it's giving off the rails. I'm so glad we don't have these fools up in boxes right now. I love you all, but man, we would be off the rails right now if we had you guys in boxes.
No, it's all good.
How many fingers am I holding up?
Well, that's why the fragrance
Vanilla.
smells so good. Special ingredient.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to tank my brain. Yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, Iris is, I think it's unisex, even though it has the tobacco in it. I find women actually like tobacco.
They like it a lot, I think.
Yeah, which is, I wouldn't have thought that, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is like I said, it is a niche scent. A little more, I wouldn't say it's challenging, but a little more, like specific than the other ones.
Makes sense. So let's talk about this one because I think this might be my new favorite after wearing it for multiple days. I think this might be the one that I'm leaning towards getting a bottle of. Love red rum too, but like this one, I don't know. There's something about this one that I keep going back to that same. Like I have all 4 of them on my arm, and I keep going back to this one.
Yeah,
So talk to me
well,
about
so
that.
the funny thing is usually that type of profile, the way that the Middle Eastern or clone houses make the scent type stronger is they put a lot of harsh ambrox in it. Like if you smell like Alexandria's versions of those kinds of scents, they're really harsh ambrox because it lasts a long time.
Kitty J, that's Flamingo, by the way, as the one we're talking about right now. It's got notes of pink grapefruit, orange, mango, neroli, ginger, lemon, cedar, sandalwood, and sea salt.
Yeah. So that was my ode to Florida. So citrus, and then orange flower for Florida oranges. The woods is like the docks, boat docks, things like that. The ocean air, the sea salt, and then there's actually a little bit of like Everglades moss in the base too. Some I don't know. There's not moss in the Everglades, but it's green.
I smell
Moss,
the green.
green.
Yeah,
Let's go with
yeah,
it.
yeah. No, it
Anyway,
works. It works well.
um, so that was my thing there, and then I really wanted it to be tropical, but I didn't want it to be syrupy. Um, so most people too don't like neroli. They think neroli is soapy. They think neroli smells like neroli Portofino or it smells like Sun Song.
Yep.
That's not really what
Sunscreen.
that's not
Sunscreen.
really what neroli smells like. So I have what I did was in that fragrance, I used actual Tunisian. It's very expensive neroli, and it's green. It's like if you walked up into an orange grove and you snapped a branch off and you smelled it. That's what neroli smells like. Instead of doing the harsh amber route, I went with soft woods and salt, more like a driftwood profile. So the cool thing about it is like the mango and the tropicalness is really more of like a top note in there. So you spray it, and then after a while, the real neroli character comes out of it, and you get the floral nature that comes through, and the mango kind of dissipates a little bit. So it does change quite a bit, I think. But people tell me it has really good longevity. I don't, different people are sensitive to certain things, and I'm not very sensitive to Ambrox. So when I started this journey, somebody gave me a decan of Tygar to smell, and I was like, "What? This doesn't smell like anything. I can't even smell this." Same thing with Baccarat 540. I couldn't smell it at all. I was like, I don't know why people like this. It doesn't smell like anything. So I say that to say different people have different experiences on longevity. But I mean, I had a buddy that wore, like when I smell a lot of Flamingo, I stopped being able to smell it. And when I had a buddy that wore it though, and he was on like hour 8 and we went to dinner together, and I was like, I smell that. I know what that smells like. So it's cool that has some longevity to it.
That's awesome. Well, fact of Aaron's in here talking about 1,000 kilograms of flowers to produce 1 kilogram of neroli essence, very low yield, which is just amazing to me to think about that. And that's, before we talk about your newest one, Moon Lotus, I wanted to kind of ask you this question because I think one of the things that makes you a little bit different from some of the people that I know, and maybe you're just still in this journey, but it seems like really like the perfuming side, the chemistry side, the putting notes together and kind of putting it all together. Some people I know enjoy that for a while and then they quickly become, hey, I want to be the creative director. I want to tell people, I want to tell the chemist what to do and how to do it. And I just kind of want to, I don't want to get into the rest of it. Can you talk about, have you had that thought ever, or how would you, or, what do you think about that dichotomy between the two?
So for people that don't know how fragrance making works, or my process anyway, so I have these, like all these little bottles that you see here are different ingredients, right? And I have these little strips, right? Little skinny end. And literally what I do is I dip it in one of the bottles or write on it what it is. And then I do that for like 2 of them. And then you put them together. Of course, like this stuff, but you put them together like this. And you smell it. Does it smell good, right? And then you can like move one further away like that, and then move the other one to get like ratio of how much, you know what I mean, smell them equal. And that you take 2 ingredients, and that's how you start, right? And then you can take these little 3 mil deals, and you put both ingredients in here, and you do like 75-25, and then you do a 25-75, and you smell them, and you kind of just see, how you like the ratio. And then when you like that, hit print. That becomes 1 ingredient, and then you do it again. and again and again and again and again and again. And that's how you sort of buy a perfumer's wheel. Just buy me talent. Can you buy me talent? So that's what you do. Now, when I mentioned before, I collect fragrances like infinity stones. I only have so many more things that I want to do, right? So I have a cherry plum fragrance. I mentioned I want to do an orange blossom honey tobacco fragrance. I've got my mango citrus fragrance, and I've got my white floral. Now there are a couple other profiles that I want. Uh, I want a like a dark rose and osmanthus are notes that I haven't incorporated yet. Um, and there's a couple more, but beyond that, it's going to be interesting. But to your question about, like, there are concepts that I have now that I know I can't technically deliver on, right? Like, I know kind of the sense that I can make and the sense that I can't make. And so, and just for scaling. So, like, I was actually posting a picture. I'm about to make the second batch of Moon Lotus tonight. There's like 50 ingredients in that, or 60 actually. And you have to compound all that and then let it macerate in jugs and do all this stuff, right? And, like, for it to be a one-man show, that's a lot. So just to scale the business, I will probably always tinker in the background and make sense here and there, but to get more out there in the brand and raise the quality of the brand and all that, I'm actually starting to look at doing collabs with other perfumers. It hasn't been announced yet, but Hez and I have one in the works, and I've kind of put a couple feelers out there to some other people to collaborate together and things like that, just to sort of help me scale. But
Probably helps with the overhead cost too, right? It kind of lowers that overhead a little bit.
well, it's more expensive for someone like it. The cheapest thing you can do is to make it yourself.
Okay.
Because I'm buying the raw ingredients, I'm compounding it, I'm doing all that stuff, right? If you buy it from a perfumer, you have to pay them to formulate. And professional perfumers, professional ones, are anywhere from $1,000 to $12,000 in the range that I would be working with. Like, I tried to Mon is a raw ingredient company, and, like, Aaron works with Firmenich and all that kind of stuff. They will make fragrances for you. Like I said, I mean, Givaudan makes City Rhythm stuff. I think Givaudan actually, does some stuff for some other ones too, like House of Cosmo maybe, and some other things. I don't know that 100%, but the professional perfumers that work for these houses make these fragrances, right? But, like, they don't want to work with anybody. So, like, I had a meeting with Mon, and I was like, hey, look, I really like your work. There's a brand called Gentleman's Nod. If you don't know Gentleman's Nod, full Gentleman's Nod, I'm telling you. But the Mon perfumers are fantastic. They also do Zarahoff. They do all his formulating. I met with them, and they're like, well, tell us about your company. How big are you? Your sales, all this stuff. When I started, I make 1 kilogram at a time. It comes in a bottle about like this of concentrate. They're like, well, our minimum is 10 to 20 kgs. And I'm like, well, how much is it? And I'm like, okay, I can buy it. And they're like, well, even still, even if you can buy it, they don't want to sell it to you because they want to make sure that you're moving it and you're doing all this stuff. So it's very tough as a new brand to get actual help. And Niles has talked about this, like, he had a relationship that got him an in at Givaudan, and like, so did a couple people. So, like, the relationship side of this is really, really, like, if you come out and do this stuff with ego and think you can do it all yourself, like, you will never go anywhere. Like, the only reason that my brand even exists and is doing anything is because of amazing people that have helped.
It's funny to hear you say that because and again, this is me. I'm just going to be completely honest, outsider looking in that doesn't know, but I'm watching a little bit of what Noah and Jamie are going through with polysniferous, and I feel like there's some of that there where they're trying to scale, but I think there's a control factor there too, like being able to release some of that and work with other partners and being comfortable with doing that. And I think they finally are going down that route. But it seems like that is the hardest thing when you're really concerned about quality and really concerned about, tweaking the formulas and still kind of dialing them in. And, this batch has a little bit and this batch will have a little bit, till you get it really dialed in. I feel like to scale that,
Well,
that seems to be the hardest thing.
well, yeah. I mean, and I don't know. I haven't talked to Noah about this yet, but, like, part of his lure, I guess, is it's drop based, right? I mean, he sells out like that. And also his batches are a little different, batch to batch. That's cool. There's like a double-edged sword, right? Like you can't outsource that. You kind of have to stick to something, but at the same time, that makes every batch unique and you want to, get it or whatever, right? He just did like the red one. Mine though, so I wanted to make sure the other piece of this is safety. I say as I drink around my chemicals. Um, so when I finish a scent, I actually take the formula. I have an NDA with a company. I send them the formula. They give me IFRA certs, SDS sheets, allergen reports, all the safety stuff, and then I don't change the scent after that. So that way I can know what concentration I can put it at to keep people safe and have, my boxes have all the allergen stuff. If you watch an Aaron Terrence Hughes video, he's like checking for the sticker, right? I got the sticker kind of deal. Um, so that I think that's a step that a lot of, newer brands to my size don't quite have yet is all that stuff. And I wanted to do that right from the beginning. That way, I can actually be in retail and sell and be fine.
I noticed it on your website, to be completely honest. It was one of the first things I noticed was some of the information that you had on the website about the IFRA safe and compliant and kind of the different information on that, because that was one of the things for me when I was talking about niche fragrance companies that I didn't know when I started out into this was what testing are they doing? I mean, are they going through the same process that some of these major brands are going through, to be able, because they, from a litigation standpoint. And so that was something I didn't know much about. And so I'm glad to hear you say that. And I think that's I know it's a lot. And again, you've also mentioned that you've not made any money off of any of this stuff because you're doing it probably the way you're doing it at a really high level. And I know that's hopefully that'll eventually scale and you'll be able to make some money off of all this. But I guess that those are the types of things that also cost more to do.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at paying, yeah, I mean, you pay the artist, you pay the photographer, you pay the website. You have to buy as a new brand. You have to buy 1,000 boxes or bottles at a time. Um, you're not going to sell that much. You got to buy the ingredient. You have to, there's a lot that sort of goes into it. And then for a lot of brands, like the ones that don't form, like me, I'm looking to pay a perfumer $7,000. Where does that come from, right? And you don't make that back until you sell that much of the scent, you know, however long that takes you to do, right? Minus the ingredients. So, you know, I mean, price point was another thing, I mean, I started out at $120 a bottle, which is, it was under City Rhythm. It's under all these other brands, but like that's where I was a brand new brand, right? Like, I mean, and also like I like stuff to be relatively affordable for people. Like, I don't, I mean, it's not $40, but when I started getting into retail in these boutiques, a lot of them don't want to touch you at that price point. It's not worth it for them. They take an hour to sell a fragrance, you know what I mean? So there's like a market expectation of where to be. So that's part of what I've had to figure out too was, I just did a price increase a couple months ago, and that was pretty much solely because of the movement into more retail now and the need to do that. And then also, like I said, all these collaborations that I have that are thousands of dollars. But to mitigate that, like the TikTok communities and like everybody that sort of got me here, if you will, like,
Mhm.
like the Facebook groups, like it wasn't for them. So what I've tried to do is like, right, I did a deal with incentives to be on TikTok Shop, right? They sell it at a reduced price. And then all the Facebook groups that I'm members of, communities have codes, right? St. Nick has a code. And the goal there is to get the price back to pretty close to where it was. The community, the people really aren't affected by that. However, I can still grow in a brick and mortar retail type environment. So
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I need to one of my to-do list items is to and I wish I would have known that beforehand because I would have made this shoppable and I would have tagged it, would have tagged the products there in the TikTok shop, so I'm glad to know that I'll get with you on where I can you said incentives? Is that who? Incentives, okay, yeah, I'll check that out. Okay, let's talk about because I know it's getting late, and I know you get a batch this one, I think, tonight, so let's talk a little bit about Moon Lotus, your newest one. It's got notes of peach, pineapple, mandarin, ling-a-ling, jasmine, blue lotus, sandalwood, vanilla, and ambergris. So this is your newest one, and one that I know you're really proud of, and you should be. So what do you, what are your thoughts on this one, and how did this one come about?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I love a lang. I love white florals, but I didn't, a lot of white florals can go sunscreen and they can be really, really feminine. So I didn't want that. So I wanted to do a more ambery profile, like a beachy kind of profile. Um, with the white floral there, but just sort of done in a unique way. And like I said, I mean, I had a structure in place. And then really like when I discovered there's a lot of like florals that people really wouldn't, unless you're a natural perfume enthusiast, you wouldn't have smelled or you don't know what they smell like. Like I'll give you some examples. Baronia. You know what that smells like? I didn't.
No.
Right. Immortelle is another one. Champaca, red Champaca, white Champaca. Some people know what tuberose smells like, but plumeria, Tier. So there's a lot of like real Davana, real exotic florals out there. Blue Lotus is one of them. There's also pink Lotus, white Lotus. There's a lot of stuff. And I smelled it and it just worked with the scent. So a lot of this perfumery stuff. I mean, that's the other thing too. I really, really want to release things that are good.
I'm sorry, vanilla's cracking me up. It's like vanilla after dark.
Pop that Champaca. Exactly.
That's your next fragrance name. Pop that champagne.
It smells so good. It's hard to describe how good that smells. It's a relative of magnolia, but it's more like tropical.
Well, everybody knows that. I mean,
Yeah, of course. But that's the thing, right? Like I like to use things that like nobody knows what a Blue Lotus smells like. But when you smell that fragrance, so spray it fresh and smell it, it kind of smells wet and it smells like it has a little honey in it. It doesn't. That's what Blue Lotus smells like. Like, yeah.
oh yeah, it's exactly what you're talking. Yeah, I get exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't want to use the word it smells moist, but
we don't want to get WT excited.
But it evokes water, right? Like, and it's a water-based flower, right? Used in ancient Egypt. So anyway, long story short, Beach at Night was kind of the vibe that came out from that whole thing. There's some salt in it. There's actually a bunch of things in it. The unlisted notes in it, neroli, coconut, pink pepper, cedar. There's a lot of stuff in there, actually.
It's funny. Pink pepper is like one of my notes that I'm discovering that I like a lot. And I know, and someone had told me the other day that it's technically a floral note. Would that be correct? Or someone said they didn't know for sure. I don't know if that's true or not. So they told me I needed to check that out. But it's kind of in the classification of a floral, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I could see that. It smells a little rosy, I guess.
Yeah. So that was one. I mean, who knows? I don't know if that, but regardless, I'm really noticing that in the fragrances I really like. I'm like,
remember I told you I studied every scent that exists. The YSL private line, the Caban, Cure, Tuxedo, Baby Cat, all of those scents have equal ratios of pink pepper and black pepper together.
Caban.
Pink pepper and black pepper together in every one of those scents. There's a lot of houses that do that. So like that's YSL's thing is the pink pepper, black pepper, and usually elemi in there. The Guerlain line typically is Hedione based stuff like the cherry oud scent and all that kind of thing. They're all Hedione based.
We've got some people that I know are considering cherry oud that are in the group here that like Guerlain cherry oud fragrances. I know there's a couple of people that are leaning that way.
I think that my personal taste is Guerlain is the best overall. I mean, Raj is pretty good too. I don't want to make Aaron mad. Yeah. They got some bangers, but like Guerlain overall is very impressive in their line. Dior used to be, but then when Demichet or Francois, when he retired, like they are done.
Delphine Jelk with Guerlain is doing a good job. Obviously, you still have Terry Wasser there, but I mean, the thing about them, I just wish they could figure out a way to make them a little bit longer lasting. I mean, I just always know if I'm wearing Guerlain, I'm taking a decant with me probably, and I'm reapplying, which isn't the worst thing in the world, honestly, because the scent
There,
profile
man,
is
my
so beautiful.
fiance wears Neroli Outrunner, and it's all day. All day that thing pumps. And that's a heady
Well,
innovation.
yeah, and maybe I'm wearing the cheap. I'm wearing a lot of the, I'm wearing a lot of the ideals and some of those. I'm not going with all of the real expensive Guerlains yet.
Yeah, I mean that's more their like introductory line, I guess. I don't know what you
Yeah,
would.
for sure. It's a poor man line. Let's just call it what it is. All
Well,
right. Let's
I mean,
well.
it's not great. I mean, Ideal EDP was you know who put me on that? Jeremy Fragrance. And he's like, it's got the cherry note. That's a horrible insult. But he's like, if you want to smell European, it's got a cherry note, wear this. And I bought it and I was like, that's pretty good.
You have to. So if you smell like a European, does that mean? Well, wait. We may have Europeans in here. I better not say what I'm going to say. We'll just move on. I don't want to get. I don't want to get. I don't want to get restricted. But yeah, I agree, Mr. Salty. The ideal line is very slept on. I have a lot of those.
Oh, cool.
I've actually let Lizzie Beth smell a lot of those for her husband. For those who don't know, Lizzie Beth and I live pretty close together, so we get together and smell scents. We look like the biggest nerds in the world, but we just get together and smell things. And her husband, I think she's liking some of those.
Yeah, so I'm actually on the active lookout for more lady influencers for when I release Moon Lotus when I get closer. I've sent a couple samples out, but that batch that you're smelling is it's a test batch that I made. And the other thing about Perfumery is so like all these little this is my Neroli, right? This is in a dilution. And I don't like math. I have a physics and math degree and I hate math. Every one of these bottles is all 20%. So anything that I make is at 20%. Like just flat. I don't want to convert it, whatever. But these are all individually macerating, if that makes sense. So one thing that people don't understand, like vanilla, for example, this is my vanilla. See how yellow it is?
Yep.
That's macerated vanilla. It turns yellow. And
It's darker over time,
yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah, and it forms like acetyls and like it basically equalizes in alcohol. But actual vanillin is a powder. And so when you first mix it, like this is my ethyl vanillin is much whiter, right? So when I'm formulating, I'm using stuff that is like individually macerated. So then when you make it, it still has to like kind of settle, but it's real quick. It takes like about a day or two, and you get pretty close. But when you make a batch, you don't use diluted stuff. You use neat raw ingredients. So I'm making like Iris. There's like a vat of powder, basically, and a bunch of other stuff, but it's all like real fresh. And then so you make it neat in a jar. And I could actually show you one if you want. But then you have to let that sit for like a week or two. And then you dilute that to your 20%. But when you first dilute it, that would be kind of like if you went to Le Labo and they just put the thing in oil and they give it to you. It smells so different, like really different than the test batches. So every time I have a new formulation of a scent, I get surprised. And actually, what happened to me with Flamingo, I made a ton of Flamingo. And there's a lot of yellow mandarin in it. I used a yellow mandarin for the production batch from a different supplier than I used for the test batch.
Mm-hmm.
And it smelled completely different in not a good way. And I'm like, I couldn't, I didn't even know what it was at the time, right? It could have been maceration. Noah actually helped me. And I realized that it was the natural ingredient sourcing. So I say that to say is, Moon Lotus, I made Moon Lotus, and it smells different. And when you first make the concentrate and you sniff it, and even when you first mix it, it doesn't smell whole. It smells like if you if you took a bomb and you blew it apart. You can smell all the individual things. They're not congealed. It smells real light and airy and alcohol-y. And then over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks, it solidifies. But I'm really impatient. So I just diluted it and then I pulled off a 10 mil, smelled it to against the one that you have. And it's the same profile. It definitely smells different though. But the cool thing is I think Moon Lotus is actually going to smell better when it launches than what you're smelling.
I don't dislike it. And I think I've got some names for you, maybe on the female influencer side that'll be helpful. The one that I can't recommend for you is Lizzie Beth. One, she may be asleep right now. I don't know if she's asleep or not. But two, she does not love florals. She is not a floral
Oh.
person. So that's
But
that's just that's her style.
every lady that I've had smell that has loved it. Like freaked out about it. Like really, really liked it. And like so like Jesse at the Scented Cottage in Atlanta or Alpharetta, Georgia, they just started carrying my fragrances and I've sent all the retail people like the test batch and that was their favorite one. And she's got her own brand and stuff. So I
My
think
wife
that's
likes it. Yeah, my wife likes it a lot. So I mean, you're right. Definitely. I think it's going to be a good one for you. No doubt about it. I think, and she is awake. That's good. And Vanilla said he'll be your girl, uh, whatever that's worth. So I know I've kept you a little bit longer. I kind of want to kind
Yep.
of move into kind of where you're heading next. So kind of to kind of summarize a little bit. So what can people expect next from Third Eye Fragrance? What do you want people to know about the brand? What would you maybe recommend to anyone that's going to be trying it for the first time? All the questions, but let's talk about the future for you.
Yeah, so I mean I'm continually trying to upgrade. So I have new discovery set boxes coming, really nice magnetic. There's 6 slots and I have 4 fragrances, so whatever.
Oh, get to
But
work.
again, you have to order 1,000 at a time, so I wasn't gonna order 4 and then have, like, 800 left over. So, I future-proofed it a little bit. But anyway, so I, got that. Moon Lotus is hopefully gonna come out in, March. I am working on a summer scent, kind of Flamingo, but different. Um
Okay,
We'll see where that goes. I don't want to talk about it too much yet. So I have 2
I
concepts
understand. Yeah.
really working. And then, like I said, I'm pursuing collaborations with professionals that is really going to elevate the brand. For me this year, like I said, I just put Red Rum and Flamengo on TikTok Shop. I'm going to try to do more lives and really become more active on TikTok. I don't know if people want more perfumery content. Like I was thinking about doing a video on like projection, sillage, performance, and those terms and what they mean, and then like how you formulate for those things. Um, so I might do some content like that, but really, scaling retail. So I mean, my brand launched the end of August, and I was sold out of Red Rum pretty much like the week after. So there was like about a month that I didn't have any inventory. And already the stuff is at Emmanuel NYC, which I love being in there. Dustin, that's a really cool store. Scented Cottage, the store in Miami, La Jetée in Nashville, Orlando. And then there's some other retails that are coming on board too. And even, so like expanding the retail presence is definitely like on my priority list. And then at some point, in about a year, I'll probably redo the presentation entirely and upgrade everything. I want to do maybe not magnetic caps, but I want to do metal caps. The only thing about metal caps is you have to buy 10,000 of them at a time.
Those minimum order quantities
Unless
are crazy.
unless you're Niles, because that cap that he has, that little bullet shaped gold cap, is like one of 3 off the shelf made to stock caps that exist. And he'd get it first. So like nobody else can do that because then it's like, what did you just steal City Rhythms cap? And it's like, well, yes, kind of. That's part of it, I mean, like that's the thing. And a lot of the stuff that's out there is copies of existing stuff. And you don't want that, right? Like I don't want a Louis Vuitton cap on my bottle, so if you don't want that, it's 10,000 at a time. So, that'll be on the list too is metal caps. The new labels are really, really nice if you see them.
I have the white labels.
Yeah, I look back on the ones that I made and I was like, man, that's horrible. Like, how did I ever?
Well,
But
you
you
know
know
what?
what?
I'll tell you one thing I would really appreciate that you've done that I think is awesome, and I want people to know about it. You made an offer, I think, in a video where you talked about those labels, and you said, "Hey, if someone has an old bottle, I don't want them to feel like they're not a part of this new brand, and they feel like they have an inferior bottle. So, like, I will send you a label that you can put on there. I will, send, in your next order or whatever that is, I'll send that to you." And I thought that was so cool that you would do that, and that's how I knew you were a community first guy.
Yeah, and not everybody wanted to take me up on that. I mean, I sent out, I don't know, anybody who wanted one. I mean, I somebody placed an order today and they're like, "Do you have any of the original labels for Iris still?" I'm like, "Yeah, my closet somewhere." And she's like, "Can you put that on instead?" And I was like, "If you want me to." So I did. But yeah, I mean, it's not like, so if I was a consumer and a brand changed their presentation, I hate that because I'm collecting, right? Like, like ATH and stuff like that do it. You're collecting and then like your collection doesn't look the same. Like that sucks. So, I don't, but there's unintended consequences of that because a lot of people put them on in the wrong spot.
Oh, I didn't think of
Like,
that.
and then they like made a video and I'm like,
It's crooked.
but whatever, man, whatever. But yeah, so that, I mean, even the price increase thing, like in some communities that have codes and things, I'm like, "Hey, look, here's this code. If anybody missed the Valentine's Day sale, just PM me. Like, I'll refund you the difference." I mean, I've only ever had one bad review of Red Rum, or one bad review total on my website. And a guy bought a sample. He bought a 2 ml sample of Red Rum for $10. And I sent it to him. Cost me $8 to send it to him. And he took the time. So my website, 2 weeks after you order, will ask you for a review. Like, how would you do, blah, blah, which is real important for brands, by the way. Like the Fragrantica stuff and the website reviews is like immensely helpful. Because when you're trying to go into retail, that's the first thing they look at is like, what do people think about this? Blah, blah, blah. What kind of engagement do you have? And he gave it 2 stars. And he said that it smells like used hotel bed sheets and lasts 15 minutes. He only spent $10 on it, and even that was too much. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like for this, but okay, whatever. Not everything.
Someone must have
what?
peed in his Cheerios in the morning.
But because of that, and he had whatever. He probably had a different taste. He probably liked certain different styles of perfumery, but I was like, you know what? Cool. And I was like, hey, I wrote him an email on his email and I'm like, hey, look, man, sorry I didn't resonate with you. Here's your $10 back. I just refunded him for it. Like, so I ended up, eating it. But like, I don't know, like it's just not that, like, having the community feel good about this whole thing is what's going to carry this forward. $10 here or there is not going to mean anything.
I got to know, did he reply back and just say at least thank you or no, nothing?
Although to be fair, I did hide that review on the website. I don't hide like 4-star ones or 5-star ones, but ones that are obviously trolly or like horrible.
Yeah.
If I had 1,000 reviews, I'd leave it. But when you have like, 10, like, and it's that's, I mean, of 6 months of doing this, Fragrantica, like emails, reviews, that is the only bad review I've ever had. I've had people say like, hey, look, Red Rum's a little too sweet. It's a good fragrance, just not my profile. Same thing with like Iris or whatever. But like, no one's been like, this is hot garbage that has no longevity, and smells like ass.
Well, those of you that haven't seen the labels yet, go onto his website. We haven't talked about it yet, and I will kind of say it, but it's pretty easy. It's thirdeyefragranceco.c, the rest. So pretty easy to get to. So definitely check that out. You can see the labels right there, the new label style, the white. It's very classy. It looks very nice. Looks very elegant. I actually have not seen the old style. I don't even know what the old style logos look like. So
well, Aaron has the old ones.
yeah, so I'll have to check that out sometime. I'll have to see, but the new ones look good.
It's what, man, it's tricky to make a label. I could take you downstairs and show you.
No,
it's my bottle is clear and it's got a white and gold cap, and the theme of the brand is white, black, and gold. So because the bottle's tall and it has a white cap, I couldn't make a black label because it weighs the thing down aesthetically. I really wanted a black label. So the label had to be white. But when you make a white label with black text, it looks really plain. So my solution back before I like knew anything, I don't know how to do graphic design, was I made a logo just for the bottle. It's like an eyeball looking. It was kind of a cool logo. Take a journey. I'll show you.
But the new ones, I'll tell you, they look different. Like when I look at my shelf, like I can tell you right now, like that's gonna stand out on my shelf.
Well, and the other thing I did was, so I got a lot of feedback where people like, why don't you just make, different color bottles or different color labels for the scents? And I thought about it. But I actually think
Thanks, Blake.
when you look at, like, if you look at a retail shelf, one, like the embossed gold and white looks elegant now. So it looks like it would be at home on a collection of fine fragrances. But it also, with like the little half eye that's on the bottom, gives it a little bit of like but what's that kind of deal, right? And that's what I'm going for. I want people to look at the bottle and go, that looks weird. Let me pick that up and smell it. And I think that's where it's at now. And that's kind of like the scents too. You know what I mean? Like they're wearable fragrances that have a lot of oh, these are my posters, by the way. Look, that's all
Oh,
art.
dude. Oh, that is beautiful.
Yeah,
That's cool.
pretty cool. This is the 20 mil now.
Oh yeah, that looks great too.
Yeah.
20
But
mil is a different size too. Yeah, I'm used to 30. I'm not used to 20. That's an interesting size to go with.
well, yeah, so about that, I knew I was gonna do a 50. And and by the way, these are the art cards. So this is the full art for,
Oh, that's beautiful.
and then on the back it's got all the notes. It's got a bio for Earl, and it's got the website. And I liked your idea of the QR code, so I'm gonna do those. I'm gonna do those next.
Nice, nice.
But the old label actually is this.
Oh, okay.
So this part, the third eye part, wrapped around the side of the bottle, and then it looked like that.
Gotcha.
But it looked cool at the time, but it looked homemade.
Sure.
Um. So like that. This is much better.
Will, thank you so much, man, for the time. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you taking us through this journey and kind of talking through it. I encourage everyone on here to definitely check them out, order a sample if you haven't, and check out the fragrances. I've really been impressed. I think I'm going to go Flamingo. I think is the first one I'm going to go with. Just because I'm just enjoying it. I like them all. I'll probably end up getting more than that, but I'm going to start with that one, I think. So I'm going to get that thing ordered up and can't wait to do that. And TV Crips. Yeah. Well, you're going to have to kick us out your house to end this live. You're going to, and how they did it on MTV
I
Cribs.
mean, I don't know, man. The way TikTok's going, I'm sure I'm going to doxed at any second, anyways.
Brother, well, thank you speaking of that, thank you so much to Lizzie Beth for being a moderator tonight and helping us. This one went pretty smooth. I did get restricted. I don't know what the heck we did. Some halfway through, I got restricted for something, but who knows? It's part of it. But I really appreciate everything you do for us, Lizzie, and helping us out. I appreciate everybody being here, and I really want you to support these guys. Toby Sense, let's go, D. I'm down for epic bad decisions. You guys are hilarious. I'm telling you, it's fun. I love this community, and I love supporting good people. And Will, everything I've dealt with you so far, you've just been a good person. I loved you sharing your story tonight, and I think that any of us feel really good supporting you. And man, it's I'm looking forward to see where you go next, man. I'm excited.
It, man. I mean, like same. I appreciate the opportunity. Like I can't stress enough, like how much I appreciate every single person that has done anything. Like if you ever made an order, or like, Aaron taking pictures when I didn't have pictures, or a photographer and introducing me to the photographer, like that's the only way I've been able to do any of this. And if anybody has any, like if anybody ever has anything that I can do, or suggestions, hey, fragrance profiles, or it would be cool if, or even constructive criticism. I had somebody tell me those little sample cards looks like arts and crafts and I need to make them better. And I was like, okay, like stuff like that. I mean, if anybody ever buys a bottle and they really want to try another fragrance, you don't need to go buy a sample. Just send me a message with the order. Like, if it's within my power to do, I will, I'm all about making people happy and enjoying fragrance and community. So
Well, Vanilla summed it up perfectly. He said, "Thank you for being genuine. That's huge." And I think that is really like in the space, like being genuine. And here's some constructive feedback. Don't ever change. He's cracking me up. But as somebody did ask if you were going to be at FragCon, so don't want to put you on the spot there. Is that something you might consider in
So
the future?
yeah, yeah. I mean, okay, so here's the thing, right? Like all those booths are expensive. So my big goal this year is I'm in Emmanuel with Dustin, and they have a big booth at Cinexplore. So I really want to do that, and he hasn't told me that I'm going to be part of the booth yet or whatever. I'm kind of hoping that I will be. So there's that. There's the Puerto Rico convention, which is right before that, which is in October, and I am going to go to that, but the smallest booth there is $3,500. And then you have to get your like stuff, like so the table and the backdrop and all that. And then I don't know how much FragCon is. I'd imagine it's probably in that range.
Two
You
to
know,
three, maybe. I think 2 to 3,000, maybe somewhere in that range.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's like how many of them do you go to, right? Like, when you're Niles and you're established, you just go to all of them. You know what I mean? But like, I kind of have to pick and choose. I might go to FragCon to, as a goer.
Yeah,
This year for me, like I'm getting my trademark stuff squared away, and paying a trademark attorney was $2,000. So it's just like with all the money and trying to scale and everything, I'm probably only gonna do hopefully Cinexplore, but I'm gonna go to the other events because that's the other thing too in this business. Like the reason that City Rhythm does really well, I mean, other than it's a good brand and Al's a good person,
sure.
he's out, he's active, right? He pushes it. I think a lot of people just kind of want it to come to them, and that's never going to happen in this
Yeah.
market. So like you got to be out there and make relationships and connections, and have share food and watch your newfound friends that you meet in New York get way too drunk.
It would never happen. I don't know what you're talking about. You would never end up in a store and spray each other with 700 sprays of whatever. It would never happen.
No, but FragCon is actually getting. From what I know about that, the people that are putting that on are really really good at putting on events. In general. So,
Okay.
I know City Rhythm's gonna be there. There's a couple, I think House of Cosmo, maybe? Maybe?
Yeah,
Did I see that?
I
Yeah.
think they maybe. I'm actually going to have. I think he is going to be our next guest for maybe in 2 weeks. I'm talking to Chris now and Teddy a little bit about having them on to do a Wednesday night show. So
Like, it's interesting is, I saw them first at Cinexplore, and
and, and
and,
meteoric rise.
they did not come in like, how you kinda like you play poker, you, like, limp in, that term, like, with a big blind, you like that was not them. They
No,
came in with, like, the chips on the table and all that, and, like, you look at that and you go like, "Hmm," especially, for a smaller brand and you're like, "Come on, that's not fair." But I'll tell you what, man, like, so one, their scents are really good, and then, like, listening to Chris, like, I am all in their corner now. Like, he's a
good dude.
really humble guy, he's a good dude, like, he wants to do that, he's got a really clear, like, brand vision, it's a cool concept, the whole lunar thing, sorry, I stole Moon Lotus. Um, but, like, that's a brand that I really wanna see succeed and want Chris to do well, I mean, I got a bottle of Crimson Aura, coming and some samples, and he ended up picking up a couple bottles of my stuff too, and I sent him some samples, so
Oh, that's awesome, man. He is a really good dude. I've enjoyed talking to him, and he's been as great as could be. I have to give another shout out to Pops. He kind of really made sure that we connected during a live he was on, and he's been all about it. And he's just like you said, he's genuine. And I think that's the thing Vanilla keeps talking about, and I think that goes a long way. And people will pay a premium for that and will support you for that because that's what they want. That's who they want to support.
Yeah, and it's to your point. I mean, it's rare. I mean, but like I think
Again, who's
I want to see.
Latafa? Who's Rayhan?
Yeah,
Who are the people behind that?
and the other thing too is that like none of us are really competition. Nobody's gonna bite off anybody else's scent in our group, and like
No.
seeing pops do well, right? Like Covenant. I, I there's some of these people like are so much farther along than me that like at this like City Rhythm and Niles, there's not much I can do with Niles. For Niles, I mean, other than like helping him promote stuff and liking and sharing and things like that. But one day there might be. You know what I mean? And like, I think, just mutually seeing everybody succeed, man, there's space for everybody. There's space for Covenant and Cosmo and my brand. And so like you kind of think of perfumery and health and beauty as like a cutthroat cold industry, and it can be. But really what I'm finding in like, the smaller like indie niche brands, it's really more of like a close knit sort of like tribe, or can be. You know what I mean? As long as you're not an asshole. So like
Yeah,
that's
well,
a
that's
really
yeah.
refreshing thing to like to learn about too. I mean, there are store owners that have taken hours of their time to give me feedback on just retail and the scents. I was actually I don't know if you know or you saw, but Jaina Fragrance Vault in Lake Tahoe, which is a really cool store by the way, um mentioned me in the article that went in Allure magazine,
See
um,
that.
which is really cool, and Near from Perfumology too. He spent like an hour and a half with me on the phone just talking about being a new brand and all this stuff. And that's stuff that they don't have to do. You know what I mean? Like they deal with brands every single day. Lieutenant Emmanuel is like a gem of a human being. He's an incredible person. I'm like really happy that I'm in there. So just people have been awesome, man. It's a cool community.
It is. Well, you're a cool guy too, and we appreciate it. Thanks for the time. We appreciate supporting you. This will not be the last time. I hope you'll come back on sometime. Hopefully, you'll on a Saturday. You're always welcome to pop into and give us updates on the Saturday show at 10 a.m. I know it's sometimes can be early for some people, but you have kids or you have a kid, so so yeah. So you're probably up anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
So
for
it's,
sure.
I'm around, but I do this 7 days a week, man. Like when my kids go to bed, I'm like up there, or I'm like filling orders, or I'm like, it's a lot, but
Passion.
I love it
It's a
doing it.
lot. Sounds good. Hey guys, chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for joining us for Frag Talk Live Midweek Edition. Please like, please follow. I will have a recording of this that we'll put out so that you'll be able to use. So I'll get that up in the next day or so. And please support Third Eye. Please put out a post supporting him. And yeah, we'll see you guys on Saturday, 10 a.m. Make sure you come see us. And yeah, I'm going to go buy my bottle right now.
Man, I appreciate you.
Thanks, Will. Take care, everybody. See ya.